Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Menachem Creditor. It's my honor to serve as scholar in residence and rabbi for UJA Federation of New York. We bring you Torah and music, blessing, and community every weekday. We've been doing so since March 18th, 2020. Today it is June 9th, 2025. That is 5 years and a bunch of months. Every single weekday morning, finding each other to say good morning, to see how each other is doing, to learn Torah, to lift each other up, to know that we can do great good together and that we are truly blessed just to know that we will show up. So, Elisa, it's good to see you. Susie, Michael, welcome. Neil, my brother, so good to see you. Safta 71. Not sure what your birth name is or what your chosen name is. What a gift it is to have you here. Sophia, welcome. See who's here on Facebook. Debbie, it's good to see you. Joyce, Angela, Arlene, and Jonathan, Amy, Boker Tov, Rosa, Hineni, with you, my sister. Jack, and Barry, Sandy, Jerry, Cecile, and Lydia, Boker Tov. Good to see all of you. I hope that you are well. John, my friend, what a beautiful thing to see you here on social media. Marilyn and Amy, Deborah and Lisa, good morning. Hi, Patty. Hi, Marilyn. All right, let's get started. There is a lot to talk about, but let's start the day with a blessing. Here we go. Today, wait, I just saw before I was about to start that bracha. Today is Judy's Hebrew birthday. Happy Hebrew birthday. Yom Huledet Sameach, my friend. Good to see you. All right, and Karen, I can't not say hi to people. Corinne and Kristen, Marcia and Anya, Penny, my friend. Broadcast 1319. Thanks for doing that. Carl and Debbie and Ron. Here we go. Boker Tov, everybody. It's so good to see all of you. And Deborah, happy birthday to your granddaughter, Ashley. I'm so glad, friends, that we have been sharing these personal moments. Let me share my own. Yesterday was a wonderful moment for our family to celebrate the high school graduation of our daughter and our son. And what an unbelievable thing it is to see the pride of a Jewish community coming together saying, we are not just here, we will begin our celebration with a moment of recognition. That's what it is to live a life full of Jewish values, to pray for the release of the hostages, to celebrate the emergence of these young leaders, and to know that they are called, just as we are, to do what we can to make this world just a little bit closer to the way it ought to be. Not from a place of fundamentalism, but from a place of fundamental humanity. This is a big, big Torah portion for saying such a thing. And during this week, we'll be exploring some of the themes of Parshat Behaalotecha. But I want to begin with one specific recognition. And you might think that I'm going to be celebrating the reunion of the cast of Hamilton yesterday at the Tonys, which, by the way, I am. But instead of pointing to that sacred text, and by the way, it is a sacred text, I hope that you'll return to the themes explored through the brilliance of Lin-Manuel Miranda and the cast of Hamilton, but also to see it as an enduring message of reclaiming the nobility of American history. That has its own sanctity, and it should be a reminder that hope must spring eternal. That's a choice we make. One of the big differences, it's not a fair treatment of Christianity or Judaism to say such a thing, but in the language that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. made famous, but was originally stated by a Unitarian minister during the Revolutionary War, that the arc of history is long, but it bends towards justice. That's the notion that things will get better, that the arc does bend. But actually, not even paraphrasing Jewish tradition, trying to channel it, we know that that's not a given. The arc of history will only bend towards justice if we keep jumping up and down on it. I want to encourage you to see yourself in this way, and I will be pointing to something in this parsha and some interpretation of it in a second. But in order to do that authentically, not only do we know that this is broadcast 1319, we know that today is day 612 since October 7th, 2023. 55 beloveds are still in captivity, and tomorrow is an unfathomable 613. In Jewish terms, that's the number of commandments we have. So I'm going to ask you, before I teach from this parsha, to think to yourself, what mitzvah, what commandment, colloquially, what good thing will you do for the sake of the hostages? How can you make something real through your deeds? You can give. You can hold the door open. You can write to your leaders, your elected leaders. You can talk to your friends. You can gather an interfaith group to learn together, to care about each other. You can show up to demand full human dignity for those who are being mistreated in this country and around the world for being different. You can stand up for trans rights. You can stand up for immigration rights. You can stand up for all of the things that should bring us together to pursue what President Lincoln reminded us were the greatest angels of our nature. 613 is an impossible day, friends. How could it possibly be 613 tomorrow? We'll talk more about that tomorrow. I ask you to think about what you can do today. Today. Ashley, you're asking, what good thing can you do for the sake of the hostages? Here's one. The Hostages and Missing Families Forum gathered together in strength in Boulder, in Central Park, with our presence, with UJA's presence, and around the world, demanding the release of our 55 beloveds. So, do good. Call that out. Make sure everyone knows. And if the virtue signalers who jumped on a boat to try to break an Israeli blockade, who were treated with dignity and kindness and are now being shown the horrendous footage of October 7th, if they would have chosen to do good, imagine, and this is the insight of Sarah Tuttle Singer, my beloved teacher and friend, the media editor at Times of Israel. She said, what if those self-promoters, those virtue signalers, truly cared? What if they had demanded the release of the hostages, brought the hostages onto those boats, and through that leveraged that platform to get both governments to change what's happening? Just imagine what could have happened, the real good, the strategic good. So what good can you do? You can point to the good and the real necessary kindness in the world. That requires careful thinking. I know I said I was going to get to the Parsha. Let's get to the Parsha. There's so much happening. It's hard to focus only on one part of it. So let's let in one very significant part of the Torah portion. We have in Parshat Behaalotecha, this week's reading in the book of Numbers, a section that tells through Moses what the Levites are called to do. And one of the things that they're called to do is make trumpets to announce when the camp would move. Those trumpets were also announcements when the tribe needed to fight. But what's interesting is that the verse says, Aseh lecha shtei chatzotzrot. And you could have said, Aseh shtei chatzotzrot. And I understand the Hebrew might be a little bit unfamiliar, so let me translate it. The verse means to say, at least on its surface, make two trumpets. They're silver trumpets. But the Hebrew has an extra word, lecha, aseh lecha. Make for yourself, or make yourself two trumpets. Let that in for a second. What if our midrashic, our interpretive reading of this, is saying, make yourself into two trumpets? And listen to the midrash. This is all, I'm so grateful to my mentor, my teacher, Rabbi Bradley Shavit Artson, in this wonderful book, The Everyday Torah. I cannot recommend it highly enough. He quotes Bamidbar Rabbah, a classic ancient midrash, that says that a trumpet doesn't draw attention to itself, but with the right instrumentalist, the instrumental can be heard. And listen to this story from the ancient midrash about King Solomon, which relates to this idea. As King Solomon was bringing the ark into the newly built temple in Jerusalem, he sang to the gates of Jerusalem. He says, and this is a verse from Psalms, Se'u sha'arim rashechem, O gates, lift up your heads so that the King of glory may come in. V'yavo melech hakavod. The doors, listen to the midrash, the doors, thinking that Solomon was referring to himself, were appalled by the arrogance. At once they threatened to sink down on him and crush his head. Listen to this. They asked, Mi hu's melech hakavod? Who is the King of Glory? Who are you talking about? And fortunately for him, Shlomo HaMelech, King Solomon, answered, Adonai Tzvaot hu melech hakavod selah. The Lord of hosts is the King of glory. The Midrash says, thereupon they paid God honor and lifted themselves up, and the ark entered. There's something that I want to share about this. It is complicated, but it is essential. And I want to do so, Susan, in memory of your Aunt Naomi Kronish. Yes, she was a woman of valor. I know her name too. Dedicated to Israel and UJA. Thank you for her memory being part of our learning. King Solomon, according to this midrash, looked at the gates of Jerusalem and said, make way, the king is entering. He's a king. And according to the midrash, the interpretation that we just read, the gates said, what do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And they threatened to crush him, right? Because that's arrogance and not the way we're supposed to act. What instead did King Solomon say that changed the mind of the doors? King Solomon said, oh no, I don't mean me. I represent something bigger than me. I represent this grand tradition, the reminder that God is present on earth. And I know that for some of us on the broadcast, this language is not our natural language. We don't necessarily all subscribe to the same theology, same notion of God. But I would suggest to you that the notion of God can be boiled down to one simple idea. There is more to the universe than me. When I know that I'm supposed to be an instrument for good, and I am supposed to be that instrument for good, I am the chatzotzrot. You are the chatzotzrot, the trumpets. You are a silver trumpet, and you must show up, but you cannot show up and point to yourself, as so many virtue signalers do. You can't think posting on Facebook is going to be the way you change the world. No, the algorithm is going to make sure that all you do is engage the people who agree with you and make you agree more fiercely to the exclusion of everybody else. You can't show up on a boat with life jackets, accept food from those who intercept you, that's Tzahal, the IDF, and say that you've been kidnapped. What blasphemy in the face of 55 kidnapped human beings, some of whom are dead and some of whom are clinging to life. You want to make yourself into an instrument for real good? You want to do what we call a mitzvah? Then you stand for goodness. You put your body in a strategic way in a place that will help people. You don't make it worse, and you don't point to yourself. You point beyond yourself. A trumpet does not sing to itself. It blasts what needs to be heard. And so, friends, I would encourage you to take this lesson and to see yourself as a symbol of doing good. And then not just a symbol, actually doing good. The Torah could have said, Aseh shtei chatzotzrot, make 2 trumpets. Go do some kind of transactional thing in the world. No, it doesn't say that. It says, Aseh lecha shtei chatzotzrot, make yourself into a trumpet. I invite us, friends, on this 612th day since October 7th, to truly think about what a mitzvah actually looks like. Tomorrow, please God, by tomorrow they will all be free. If they are not, what mitzvah will you do in their names? Because they have been prevented from doing so many mitzvot. Take a second before we sing Hatikva, friends. I really want you to think, just for a moment, what mitzvah will you do tomorrow to bring them home now? Send your hearts to the east. Let's pray. Kolon baleva penima nefesh Yehudi homia ulefate mizrach kadima ayin letzion tzofia. עוד לא עבדה תקוותנו, התקווה בת שנות 2000, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים, להיות עם חופשי בארצנו, ארץ ציון וירושלים. Bring them home now. Am Yisrael Chai. See you tomorrow, my friends.